Hey, shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Waharakah Kodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and honors to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Now, I got some clips going into the juicy unfolding of prophecy that's happening right now in the Middle East. And of course, it's happening simultaneously with all the other final prophecies coming to pass. So this is good times indeed for the hopeful elect. Okay, the Lord is definitely doing a work in the earth and manifesting His word. Now, you should know Iran launched a missile attack last night. I believe 180 to 200 missiles, and this time they were using the good stuff, the hypersonics. And as you're gonna hear, if you hear it from the Israelis, none of the Iranian missiles hit their target. If you hear it from the Iranians, they'll say 80%. I'd say the truth is probably somewhere in the middle and leaning towards what Iran is saying. So I'll probably say maybe 60 to 70% of those missiles probably hit their targets. And these were, military targets, oil refineries, things of this nature, infrastructure in an already small nation. All right. And of course, the Israelis are going to continue to march forward in their arrogance and bait a bigger, more devastating conflict. And everything, like we've been saying, everything's falling into place, including America's unwavering support for the state of Israel, which brings prophecy into play. The least of the flock shall draw them out. So I want to play this clip and enjoy.
From the University of Tehran joins us now. Thank you very much for being with us, Professor. I just wonder, first of all, what has Iran achieved by this attack on Israel? Very few of the missiles got through. It, in effect, failed. Many people are calling it a humiliation for Iran.
Okay.
I think that's a lot of wishful thinking on behalf of you and your colleagues at Sky News. It was a massive blow to the Israeli regime. And the history of this conflict doesn't go back to last year. It is 76 years of ethno-supremacism, ethnic cleansing, and this is a racist regime that you support.
And it's key to add that, this conflict between the Israeli state, the Zionists and the surrounding Arab countries did start when they went over there and appointed that land, into their possession. And it's not like people haven't been fighting over that land for, 1,000+ years. But again, this is just prophecy unfolding. Now, the JOO would like to convince everyone that, especially these goofy anti-Christians, right? They want to, these Edomite Christians in America, they've been taught through Christian Zionism, that the Israeli state, that's the chosen people returning to the land and blah blah blah. Even though it doesn't fit the scriptures, they're gonna try and make it fit. And ever since they've been over there, it's been nothing but problems. They ain't been at rest, right? They ain't been at rest not even for a year. Constant problems. All right, that land is in turmoil, and that goes back to Ezekiel 36 chapter, because the land is given unto the Gentiles, and they're fighting over it, and shedding each other's blood, and that's because they ain't the right people. See, if you keep the law, statute, commandments, you have to, first of all, you have to be holy to dwell in the Holy Land. If you're unholy and ungodly in the Holy Land, that land is gonna spew you out. It's gonna be a curse unto you, and that land surely has been a curse unto the Palestinians, and it surely is going to continue to be a curse unto the JOO. Anyone that's in that land, even the nation of Israel, when we were in the land and we committed ungodliness, we committed unholiness, the land spewed us out. So how much more the heathen? Ezekiel 36:1. Also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord. So this is talking to the actual land. Thus saith the Lord God, because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are in our possession. Right now, the enemy represents these other nations that surrounded us. That includes the Arabs, Elam. The Arabs would represent Ishmael, but also you got the Assyrians, the Syrians, right? These were all nations that are in that region, right? These are enemies. All these other nations were always our enemies, right? They have our land in their possession. Therefore prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord God, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side. All right. Our land was devoured on every side by these heathens. All right, which includes now the JOO, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up into the lips of talkers, and are the infamy of the people. That land, the Middle East, yeah. I'm saying the Middle East because that's what it's known as the modern day West Asia. I know the Zaquan Malcolm, he would rebuke me sharply for using that word Middle East. I'm not trying to be ignorant. I'm just using a term that's popularized. But for your edification, really, it was known as West Asia, and the elder Malcolm always makes a point to mention that. So I'm gonna make that point too, because he's right on that. You know, hey, and if you don't critical race theory, man, that's the channel. I'm sure you should be subscribed to that. The elders always coming out with prudent and edifying videos and information. But that land of West Asia, the Middle East, particularly the state of Israel and the surrounding areas, has been taken up into the lips of talkers. It is the infamy of the people. I remember sitting, not sitting, but being on my veranda, and I used to hear my grandmother and my uncle Bazin talking about what? Yasser Arafat and the Middle East and the state of Israel, and when will there be peace? That land is infamous with nothing but war. Even now, right? Consistently at war over the land, right? Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, it's been 76 years. Therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord God. Thus saith the Lord God to the mountains and to the hills and to the rivers and to the valleys. Sound like a Capleton lyric. To the desolate places and to the cities that are forsaken, which become a prey and a derision, to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen. So the Heavenly Father is actually against all these different heathens, and that's why they're catching hell. The Palestinians are catching hell. Now, they may be innocent towards the JOO, but they're not innocent towards the Lord, because they're heathens and they're in the Lord's land doing madness, worshiping wood and stone. All right, they're not worshiping Yahweh Hashem Yahushai in the spirit of truth, so they're in transgression to be dwelling in that land. Point blank, period. All right, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the registry of the heathen and against all Idumea. Notice it focusing in on Idumea. And why they called Idumea? Because they're doomed. Nah, it's just another way of saying Edom. And against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, right? Because remember, these are historical facts. The Zionist regime through Arthur Balfour, all right, the Zionists through Arthur Balfour had the land appointed to them through the British, because the British had rule over Palestine. At one point, it was known as British Palestine, right? And the land was given onto them. It was appointed them onto them through the Balfour Agreement, even though there were people already living there, and they didn't go and buy property or go and rent property or go and use land which wasn't occupied. They went and literally kicked Palestinians out of their homes during the Nakba. They went there and they were kicking people out their houses, and they were still warm naan bread in the oven. These men were doing madness. All right, they appointed the land into their possession, and they're doing. You see, the reason the whole world is being triggered by what's happening over there to the Palestinians, and it's not because we're not putting on capes for the Palestinians at all. We're not with them. We're for ourselves. But you gotta call a spade a spade. The reason why the whole world is getting PTSD by watching the actions of the Israeli state against the Palestinians and those peoples is because the same thing which has happened to them, everyone has experienced pretty much collectively at the hands of Esau Edom. It's colonialism. It's gaslight. They're gonna gaslight. So they're gonna do wickedness. They're gonna do evil. They're gonna steal. They're gonna murder. But at the same time, they're gonna play the victim. They'll gaslight the whole situation and turn the victims into the perpetrators, and turn the perpetrator into the victim. And the whole world seeing that, because that's what Esau does. Esau will dehumanize and turn the victim into the aggressor. That's what he did with the Native American Indians. He became the victim, right? And the Native American Indians became the aggressor. The Native American Indians became the savage. They gaslit the hell out of the Native American Indians, man. And that's exactly what they're doing over there with the Palestinians. You watch the news, they're just trying to gaslight the world as if the world can't see that them are wicked. Like, you're doing too much, but you're acting like you're the victim. You're not the victim. You're a thief. You see it? And the whole world is really seeing that because the whole world has experienced that before. It's like, damn, it's happening all over again. These people really ain't changed. And another thing that people are noticing is these people that were supposed to be proponents of human rights are standing by and watching human rights being violated for the longest, really, because I mean, the Americans have violated human rights, Guantanamo Bay, and we know these men don't really care about human rights, but the whole Israeli thing has shown that they're killing children. The snipers been shooting children, been shooting journalists, just blowing up people, to blow up 1,000 people to kill one man. Do you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But you see, this should show you what the elders and apostles have been saying for years, that Esau hasn't changed. You think he's changed, but he hasn't changed. And you're going to find out in the time of Jacob's trouble, when he start snipering down your children, that he ain't changed one little bit. This man is still the slayer. He's still the murderer, and he don't hate blood, and he really don't believe in no human rights or no women's rights or no children's rights or none of that stuff. He gonna kill who he want to kill. And that's what you're going to find out. In fact, I got a clip here. This is from Syrian Girl. It says, remember when Israeli snipers shot a baby and his mother and shot at anyone trying to save them? And of course, the BBC News and all that are not going to address all this. But this is what's been done. This is how these men operate, right? But they're quick to say, oh, look at the Bloods and the Crips. Look at that man did a drive-by and they hit some child on a playground. Oh, look at them, they're animals. Meanwhile, these men are out here actually sniper rifling mothers and children and all sorts. And it's okay. So they're gaslighting the world like they're the elves. They're the angels in the earth. They're just this peaceful people, non-violent. But look, it's crazy. All right. Right, so let's continue real quick. I want to get through this. Right, have appointed my land in this possession with this, the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds, right? To just cast it out for a prey. Because when these guys went over, When these men set up this state of Israel, they set it up to be a secular nation. It is a nation. It's not a spiritual nation. It's a secular nation, a strong military colony in the Middle East. And they were atheists. The majority of the Zionists were atheists. They only used the Bible in reference as a historical book to try and say, oh well, it's the Israelites' homeland. But they didn't believe in the covenant, and they sure as hell didn't believe in the Most High. All right. It says, prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel, and say unto the mountains and to the hills, and to the rivers and to the valleys, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I have spoken in my jealousy and in my fury, because ye have borne the shame of the heathen. Yeah, that land, you got all manner of heathens that have been in and out of that land for over 1,000 years. And what have they been doing in the land? Idolatry, right? The state of Israel, that's where all the pedophiles run to. When they get caught for pedophilia in America, they flee to where? To Israel, because that place is lawless, man. All the criminals go there to hide out. All right, that's a big criminal hub for all of the crime in the earth. It's crazy. Anyway, prophesy therefore concerning the land of Israel. Sorry, the born. Sorry. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, I have lifted up mine hand. Surely the heathen that are about you, they shall bear their shame. Right, and that's going to happen. These people are going to kill each other. All right. But ye, O minds of Israel, ye shall shoot forth your branches and use your fruit to my people of Israel, for they are at hand to come. And that's talking about the elect, man. All right. So let's jump back over.
Cannot recognize that the difference between you and us is that you support racism and racial hierarchy, and we.
Which is true. The state of Israel is an ethnocentric state. See, he doesn't represent. This is the funny thing. They're over here in the West talking about democracy, and we know it's all BS. Democracy and equality and all this stuff. Meanwhile, the state of Israel is anything but about equality. It's an ethno state. It's an apartheid state, man, where if you're not a JOO, you're a second class citizen. And on top, the most hated of all the JOOs are actually the super ultra orthodox Jews, right, who are against Zionism. They're the most hated. So these men don't believe in no form of spirituality whatsoever. All right.
Reject it. And the Israeli regime, if they dare strike back at Iran, we will hit them much harder next time. We will beat them into submission.
Well,
and we're waiting to see that. All right. We're waiting to see that because remember the scripture speaks about them Carmanians raging in wrath. We're waiting for the point where this thing goes tit for tat and then eventually it's going to go all out. That's what we want to see. We want this boxing match to turn into a fight. Okay, you know what, man? Us, man, are over here in London. Like we're not on that what they call that slick box. We ain't on all that, man. Straight squabbles on the cobbles, yeah. Start throwing leather. We roll with that Mexican spirit. That's what we want to see, man. We ain't trying to watch our man backstep and throw jabs and holding on at the waist and all this foolishness, man. Yeah, we want to see a man throw down, you know what I'm saying? No doubt. That's what we're about. So we're about the fight, man. We ain't about this boxing business. Right now they're boxing. They're going, backward and forward and they're holding back, basically. You know what I'm saying? Cagey. Hella cagey. But we want a fight to break out. Sit down on them punches, man. Try and put a man out. That's it.
will strike back, won't they? No sovereign country can put up with having 180 ballistic.
Yeah, totally ignoring all the airstrikes that the Israelis have been doing with impunity for the last 76 years, man. This is what I'm saying. They're gaslighting, but you see, it ain't working no more because through the internet, the majority of the people in the world actually are well educated on what's happening over there. And they see the Israeli state for who they are. These men are still trying to gaslight. So the only people that basically have a right to defend themselves is Esau, Edom, and anyone else automatically just has to be the aggressor and the perpetrator. They don't have a right to defend themselves. Only Esau could be labeled. He gets to choose who gets labeled as a resistance fighter or a terrorist, according to him. This man's the devil, man.
Missiles fired at them, so they will hit back, they will hit hard, and they could well hit your nuclear facilities, your oil production installations. They could cause Iran serious damage.
Listen, instead of the rhetoric, be real.
Which all that works in the elite's favor, because what's that going to do? Cause the world economy to collapse. And all that will happen. It's inevitable. Right? The oil prices are already going up. Listen, it's winter. Listen, everything is playing into what scripture speaks about, that perplexity, man. Everything is playing into perplexity.
Because you're misleading your own people. Iran has countless underground missile sites with hundreds of thousands of missiles across the country. They were made after the US invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan to deal with a potential war with the United States. So this puny regime, it is not a state, it is a colony. It is a racist, ethno-supremacist colony.
And that's what Donald Sterling said. That he said that the black Jew is not worth as much as the white Jew. And he said in Israel, the blacks get treated like dogs. Donald Sterling said that in them leaked recordings. Donald Sterling knew what was up. He said it's the way of the world. All right? These men have been racist. They've been demons, man. But they all are. It's just that over there, they don't hide it. They don't hide who they really are. Over here, they're trying to hide it. But they're going to let it out. You're going to find out how they really feel.
Colony, which the people call themselves the chosen people. Unlike you, we do not believe in chosen people. And the Palestinian people on that land who've been displaced and pushed into Gaza and who've been slaughtered regularly over 76 years, we will not stand for that.
But I got news for you. They're gonna continue to get slaughtered. Because like I said, they ain't meant to be there either.
All people in the whole of Palestine must be equal. The Israeli regime, if they strike Iran, we will hit them.
They're gonna get equal judgment in that Valley of Jehoshaphat.
Much
Oh boy, Slakia. Where was we?
harder next time. And they can pretend that they got away, but we hit them very hard last night. We hit their bases. And unlike the Israeli regime, which constantly carries out slaughter and genocide and was carrying out a Holocaust in Gaza, we struck their military targets. Because unlike you, we actually care about human rights, not you.
Professor, let me just say that...
Yeah, and you know what? You got a point on that. We get frustrated with Iran and the amount of restraint that they're showing, whether that's of their own choice or whether that's Russia in the background or whatever the case may be. But one thing you realize is when it comes to restraint, it's clear that the state of Israel is showing the least. But then it's these Arabs that they paint as being crazy. But they ain't been acting like crazy people. Look at Egypt. Egypt ain't done nothing. So it's like on one hand, they want these people to be these maniac, crazy terrorists that just do crazy stuff. But really, the only one that's really doing maniac, crazy stuff is them Israelis, man. Showing you who the real maniac and the real crazy terrorist really is in the earth and always has been. Remember this, right? There's only one nation of people that's actively ever used nuclear weapons, or atomic weapons, I should say, in war. And that's Esau Edom, America. They started this arms race, but then everyone else has to be crazy and savage and, man, get the hell out of here, man. Man had 2 world wars, man. What's wrong with you?
We're on the verge of an all-out war, or certainly a war between Israel and Iran. It could be a war that Iran loses. If Iran does lose that war, do you think that the current Iranian regime could survive a defeat? Because that is if what you say is right.
It's a real stupid question.
and Iran is going to hit back even harder, that could be where this all ends up.
Iran will not hit back harder. Iran will hit back much harder. The head of the Iranian forces says Iran will destroy, target, and destroy all of the Israeli regime's infrastructure. This was the tip of the iceberg. Iran will lose no war. The Israeli regime will. It is time for you and others to end your racism and to end your support for the superior race and to accept that all people in Palestine have equal rights and the Palestinian people have a right of return. Jews, Christians, and Muslims are equal. Unlike what you say, they are equal, and we will accept nothing less than that. The regime must go, and all people must be treated equally. Right. And if the only thing, there's no doubt that Israel will lose, but the only variable here is the United States. If the United States gets involved, have no doubt, the U.S. will be swept out of Iraq by the Iraqi resistance, and all its assets in the Persian Gulf will be destroyed.
Professor,
all those regimes that U.S. bases will be destroyed, and the oil and gas markets will cause a situation where the global economy will collapse and millions of people will be on the move. So be careful about making stupid mistakes, and the West.
But we already know that the Israelis are gonna make a stupid mistake, because that's what they're set up to do, man. And you can see the pride and the arrogance.
Should stop with its arrogance and get real for once.
But they're not gonna stop with the arrogance, because arrogance is the only setting these guys got. All right, that man only know how to be arrogant. They're the children of pride. All right, so this is from DD Geopolitics. It's massive Hezbollah preemptive strikes on Israeli forces gathering in Metula. So they launched some attacks on these Israeli forces that are getting ready for that ground game. Northern Israel happening now, likely to stop a possible incursion into South Lebanon. Hezbollah rocket attacks on Misgav northern Israel, second time in 30 minutes, indicating that they may have likely found success in hitting a large Israeli troop gathering. So yeah, it's about to get mucky, man, if these men are gonna step into Lebanon with boots on the ground, because that's a whole different ball game. It's one thing when you're trading missile to missile. Like, it's a whole nother ball game where you're putting boots on the ground and you're stepping into another man's territory, right? Another man's there trying to defend his family, and he got a gun and you got a gun. It's gonna get mucky, man. That's when casualties start happening on both sides. Like, that's where it gets sticky, and it's gonna get sticky. All right. Yeah, I wanted to get these men are filled with nothing but pride. Let's get this guy.
And however,
look at these people, man.
In accordance with the directive of the government, Iran launched a large-scale attack of over 180 ballistic missiles directly from Iranian soil.
Look at the size of this dude's ears, man. This dude got these people, man. Look at the size of this dude's ears, man. Man looking like the BFG, like, yo, that's crazy, man. That's looking like Mickey Mouse with them ears, like, that's what's up with these people, man? Anyway.
Israel. There were a small number of hits in the center of Israel and some other hits in the southern Israel. The majority of the incoming missiles were intercepted by Israel.
Yeah, they would say that.
And the defensive coalition led by the United States.
So you see who's defending them, because their defensive capabilities are not only is the system built in it was built in partnership, both systems, the Iron Dome, which is really the Iron Dome is really for defense against long range missiles. They've also got another system called David Sling, which is designed for short and mid range missiles. So sometimes people mention the Iron Dome when they're not even using the Iron Dome, they're using a different system. But it's pretty much the same concept. But a big part of the defense system utilizes American assets in the Middle East and also assets from other allies in the Middle East. in order to get the information necessary to defend themselves. All right. So this thing, America is always involved in some way, shape, or form with Israel's defense, even if it's just a matter of providing intelligence and information in order to make their defense effective, or even their offense, like helping with targeting, allowing them to use certain satellites and the equipment, certain assets. All right. Because they're, Israel's really an extension of America, and it's one entity when you really think about it on a larger scale. All right, they're very intertwined, and just like Iran, all right, they're working with the Russians. There's like over 1,000 Russians in Iran working with them on various military and domestic systems.
Iran's attack is a severe and dangerous escalation. There will be consequences. Our defensive and offensive capabilities are at the highest levels of readiness. Our operational plans are ready. We will respond wherever, whenever, and however we choose. In accordance
Wherever, whenever, and however. Yeah, they got no limits, man. We've seen that.
with the directive of the government of Israel. Iran and its proxies have been attacking Israel since the 7th of October on 7 fronts.
I notice they keep talking about the 7th of October, 7th of October. It's man annoying, man. It's like they just keep mentioning that as if that's like it's a trigger thing. See, it's all psyops. Yeah, keep mentioning the 7th of October. Keep mentioning that. We need to mention the Holocaust, mention the 7th of October, because that will justify anything we want to do. These guys are insane.
Iran and its proxies seek the destruction of Israel. The Israel Defense Forces will continue doing everything necessary to defend the state of Israel and protect the people of Israel.
Yeah, I don't give a damn about the people of Israel, man. But anyway, yeah, let me get another thing. Now, I wanted to touch on this real quick because it's all along the same lines, just to show you how Putin played his role in the unfolding of the prophecy of the hooks being put back in the bear's mouth. Right now, we understand that at the end of the Cold War, certain agreements was made between Gorbachev and the American leadership, where they would be neutral towards each other. NATO wouldn't expand eastward. There would be like a buffer zone of nations between the old Soviet Union, Russia, and Europe. And Russia went from being a country which was seeking to be an empire, seeking to be a superpower, seeking to project its power globally, to kind of just being another nation, basically. But Putin restored Russia back to that old imperial spirit. In fact, the word Vladimir means ruler, and Putin means the way of rulership. They put back a rulership style mentality into Russia, that imperialistic, right? And Putin's backers in Russia think like that. They think along the lines of the old Soviet spirit of the supremacy of Russia over the West. Now it says Putin has restored the sovereignty of Russia, and that angered a lot of people in Washington. U.S. journalist Joe Lauria doesn't hold back. So let's see if we can play this clip. And this goes into Ezekiel 38.
Taking bribes. I went to Moscow in 1995 under Yeltsin. I couldn't believe what I saw. Wild West. Hundreds of people living in front of the train stations, burning fires, trying to survive outside. Cops taking bribes right in front of me on a cab that I was in. In October 2015, I went back again to Moscow. It was a complete coincidence exactly 10 years later. And I'd left from Berlin, and I thought I was still in Western Europe. Clean, orderly. Why? What happened? This was not the crazy country. Vladimir Putin, he restored the sovereignty of this country, the dignity of Russia. And that pissed off a lot of people in Wall Street and Washington. And that's what led us to this invasion. The overthrow of Yanukovych. You tell me one revolution where a democratic elected government was overthrown. Revolutions over kings, dictators. This was a coup that the U.S. organized. Why? Because Yanukovych decided he was going to take a Russian government economic package and not the EU one. That was launched with U.S.
This would make perfect sense because the Ukraine has a much more greater history with the Rus, with the Russians, than it does with the West. It makes no sense. We know Zelensky and them, and Zelensky's a JOO, and we know why he's. Yeah, but as a country, as a people, it really makes no sense that Ukraine would be over this side, because the western side of Europe ain't effing with them type of people like that. They don't rate Eastern Europeans. They don't even really see them as the same people. So like it makes no sense. It made more sense for Ukraine to buddy with the east side of things. But I remember when they did that coup and took that Donny out and put in the puppet. And that's what started all of this.
And they were training. The NATO was training the Ukrainian forces, arming them. It was a de facto NATO state already. Only people in the United States and Western Europe believe any of the crap about Ukraine. Sorry. And why? Because the history is not there. It's being excised. It's being taken out. And the Russian point of view is being removed. They are defanging journalism on purpose because we're meddling with the state narrative, the no.
And this is the thing, people gotta understand that like Esau, the scripture tells you that his right hand is the right hand of falsehood. You see, there's a lot of things that Esau couldn't do if everybody was informed. If everybody was well informed of history and current events, right? There's a lot of things that Esau couldn't do. But Esau's very good at propaganda, at omitting facts, twisting information, falsehood. The scripture says his right hand is the right hand of falsehood. Right? That's in Psalms 144. Right? This man is the devil. He's a serpent. All right? They gaslight, man. Esau, as more I think about that term gaslighting, that is Esau, one of Esau's ultimate. He will have you thinking you're insane. If you know the facts of a situation, Esau will drive you insane because his narrative will be a complete flip on reality. It's a complete flip on reality. It's witchcraft, man. Gaslight is like gaslighting, man. They're moving like Sauron out here. They're moving like Sauron, just pure deceptive, pure evil. They'll have you thinking you're the victim, you're the perpetrator, you're the aggressor, while he's being the aggressor. It's just pure madness, right? They'll lie, they'll cheat, right? They agreed with Russia not to expand NATO, and then they went and expanded NATO anyway, because this man can't be trusted. Esau cannot be trusted. He's not a man of his word. All right, he do what he want to do.
Arming them. It was a de facto NATO state already. Only people in the United States and Western Europe believe any of the crap about Ukraine. Sorry. And why? Because the history is not there. It's being excised. It's being taken out. And the Russian point of view is being removed. They are defanging journalism on purpose because we're meddling.
Yeah, that's why if you remember when Putin had that interview with Tucker Carlson, and then as soon as Tucker Carlson tried to ask him a question about the Ukraine situation, he went into a 20-minute history lesson. Why? Because it's called context. Esau likes to, that's what I'm saying, he's a master manipulator. Just like with these Israelis, they never want to put anything in context. oh, October 7th, but they never want to add no context to anything. It's all manipulating tactics because they know if they give the full context and give all of the facts, yeah, people will see and understand that these men are the devil that the Bible speaks of. So they're always trying to play games. But Putin said, listen, are we doing a proper discourse or is this some kind of movie or show? Because if we're men of intelligence, we have to deal with intelligence. But you see, the news in America ain't gonna provide you with no context. The only thing they're there to do is to forward the left-right paradigm and give you half the story on one side or the other, to manipulate you to feel one way or another and to be in a confused state so Esau can run his psyops and destroy your life. That's what it is. The demon.
With the state narrative, the noble lie. Speaking of which, I invited Howard Zinn, the great American historian, late now great historian, to the UN to address UN.
You know, and again, this goes back to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, and it tells you there, Ezekiel 38:4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and bring thee forth, and all thine horsemen and horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. You see all these allies of Russia, they have upgraded militaries now. Even Russia themselves have upgraded their military. All right, and they don't waste money like the American military. No, don't ever get it twisted. The American military got some shiz nizzle. You understand what I'm saying? They got some tech. But the point is that a lot of their because of corruption, a lot of their shit is wasted, man. A lot of this shit, like the F-35s, they messed up. But these other nations do a lot with a lot less. They do a lot because they're serious and they're not completely corrupt. All right. All of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, which is Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, and the house of Togomar of all the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. You're starting to see that the Israelis are starting to militarize Cyprus, which is causing a problem with the Turks. And I'll tell you a story, man. The first time I found out that there was a history of beef in Cyprus, because in Cyprus you got the Greek side and you got the Turkish side. Now I remember one time when I was in university, right? You Americans, you call it college. Okay, so I was in university. We were chilling. We brought back some chicks, right? Right. We brought back 3 Cypriot chicks. Now I never knew there was a difference, but this is what ignorance brings you. I never knew that there was a Turkish side and there was a Greek side. For me, Cyprus was Cyprus. I didn't know there was a difference. So there was a don in my dorm who was from Cyprus, and these girls were from Cyprus. So we was thinking, bring these gal back. My man's there. He gonna give us the inside scoop. We gonna get it popping, and you know how it do. Anyway, we there like, and everything was going fine. Man were vibes in. You get me? The gal them vibes. Everything's vibing, right? My man came in. He was chatting, and then out of nowhere, they were like, "Well, why did you?" It was like a bomb went off. Like, well, why did your people kill my people? I was like, what the yo, it just mashed up the whole thing. And that's when I found out that there was a thing between Turkish Cypriot people and Greek Cypriot people. I never knew that existed. And to this day, they don't like each other. Do you know what I'm saying? Because of that history. But anyway, all that's going to come back into play as well. And many people with thee, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So what these people have done is they've developed their militaries in order to be able to combat America and their allies. And the battle is a lot closer than what most people think it is. Yes, America is the single most powerful country in the world. There is no doubt. Don't think we're ever saying that America is just some. Yeah, don't ever think we're saying that America is just some big fat panani And they ain't, listen, America's got the most powerful single military on the face of the planet Earth. And in a one-on-one battle, you got problems. If you coming up against America, no matter where in the world you are, you've got a big problem. You better believe that, right? Where is it? The Global Firepower Index. It ain't no joke. They're number one, right? These men have more aircraft carriers. And remember, this is at a time, and I suppose we should speak about it. As warfare changes, you can be very strong, right, as a military in one era, and a new era can transition, and all the investment you made into the older form of fighting becomes null and void. And if you don't invest properly in the new way of fighting, you can find yourself going from being extremely strong to as strong to less strong. Let me explain what I mean. Brothers might say to themselves, well, why doesn't anyone build castles anymore? It's because they can't. Well, not really. It's not because they can't. You know what I mean? A castle is just a defensive structure. The reason people stop building castles is because what was a castle? Castle is what's known as a force multiplier, meaning in the old form of warfare where you would have it was mainly based around men and the tools they had. So bow, arrow, various form of melee weaponry. Now, certain things affect your effectiveness on the battlefield. Obviously, first and foremost, if the Most High is with you. But the Most High played the game on the earth with various things. All right? Most High lets things play out how he wants it to play out, and he affects certain things which are just evident. Like, for instance, having the high ground is an advantage in warfare. Having the high ground, your cavalry, right? If you're going to have a cavalries are more effective in open field battle, less effective in a forest. You don't really want to be using a cavalry in a forest. Then you got certain things which are multipliers, for instance, like a castle. A castle multiplies the strength of your army, wherein a lesser army can defeat a greater army if they have a castle. In fact, let me show you this. Right? It's called a force multiplier. So a force multiplier is a process, tool, or tactic that increases the effectiveness of a group or item without increasing its firepower. You understand what I'm saying? So basically, put it this way, I believe it's 6 times amount of okay, castle force multiplier. Right. See if I can get it. Right. So this is an example. I think so, yeah. It takes about twice as many men to take a castle. So put it this way, you could have a force of 10,000 men. If you're going against another force of 10,000 men, but you're behind the castle, the multiplication of the castle, the force multiplier of being in that castle gives you that advantage of, like, it's almost like you got double the amount of men. So in order for you to take a castle, unless you're doing some Walls of Jericho type thing and the Lord is with you on that level, or somebody, Trojan horses are open. If you're just going to attack that castle head on, you would usually need between 2 to 3 times the amount of men that's inside the castle to win that battle. You understand? All right. So this is why castles were built. Castles was a force multiplier in a world where you were using melee weapons. Then they started having siege weapons like trebuchets, which made castles slightly less effective, but nevertheless, you build the walls strong enough, it still was effective. All right. Even when you had trebuchets. All right. Now, the reason they stopped building castles is because of one invention, two inventions really, but one, this is the main invention. The first invention was the cannon, right? Because cannons, the destructive power of a cannon will decimate your defensive wall straight away. Right? Cannons will just decimate your defensive wall. So that started to make having a castle less effective. The next thing was the bomber. Okay. What is the point of having a castle? Men are not going to be trying to get over your walls. They are just going to use missiles and bombs from the air and bomb you in your castle, because the castle did not protect you from an air raid, right? So now you have to focus on different forms of defensives. That's why you have anti-aircraft guns and iron domes and things of this nature. Now, I say all that to say this. The American military is designed to fight a particular type of warfare, right? Where they dominated the airspace with planes, with fighter jets, because during the World War, the Air Force was very effective. All right, which is why the American military has the most, they have the most aircraft carriers out of all the nations. That allows them to project their air power throughout the earth. But there's been a change. See, the aircraft carrier is really vulnerable because of one reason, one invention: the hypersonic missile. The hypersonic missile has changed the game when it comes to air defenses, when it comes to these aircraft carriers, because an aircraft carrier is very vulnerable to hypersonic missiles. All right? So the game is a lot closer now than what people would think because of these weapons. And guess who put most of their time in? And what did Russia and these nations put most of their invention and energy and money into? Developing these type of weapons for this reason, because this levels the playing field. The hypersonic weapon brings the power of these nations closer to America because of their ability to hit certain targets which really couldn't be hit before. Most of these men were rolling with Scud missiles, like the Iraq, when they did the first Iraq war with America. Iraq was using Scud missiles, which is basically a glorified grenade launcher. There wasn't really no guidance on that thing. So yeah, the Patriot missile defenses, these defense systems were very good against that. Not these hypersonic missiles. Good luck. These fuckers be traveling fast. And so it's changing the game. It's changed the game. All right. That's one of the ways where the weak is saying that I'm strong. Not only when it comes to nukes, but remember, people are not just going to resort to nukes straight off the bat. That's like launching nukes is like, it's all over. Okay. The first form of warfare is always going to be conventional. First form of warfare is always going to be conventional, and they have increased greatly in the realm of conventional warfare because of these hypersonic missiles. All right. And then on top of that, you got the S-300 and S-400 systems, anti-aircraft systems too. So they can deal with the Air Force. Yeah, it's going to get mucky. All right. So be thou prepared and prepare for thyself and all that company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So Russia, right, is helping these nations to step their game up. All right. As it is written, let the weak say that I am strong. Iran has the right, they might not have everything that America has, but they have the right tools for the fight that they need to fight because they've focused on these tools. They've had to. When you ain't got all that money to be just putting into, you got to make sure that what you're doing is accurate and correct. And that's what they've done. The Soviet Union knew, listen, we can't build an air force as effective as the American Air Force. So instead of doing that, we're just going to build missiles that make the American Air Force ineffective. We're going to build missiles fast enough. We could take out their airstrips. We can take out their aircraft carriers. And now they got to go to the ground game, and we could play that game. They can play that game. But you look at these rankings, man. It ain't no joke, man. You got USA up there, you got Russia. But look at the allies. China, Russia, and China are allies. All right. You got Russia and hold on, dog. Russia and China are allies. Right? You got Indonesia down there. South Korea is America. Then you got the UK. Them some soft you, but UK, Japan gonna flip the script. Turkey, Pakistan, Italy. Some of these nations you wouldn't even consider them to be in the top 10. India's top 10. Turkey's top 10. Pakistan's top 10. All right. You got France, Brazil. What's that? Indonesia. Fucking knows. Iran's 14th. All right. Iran. Egypt is 15th. You got Australia. Then look where Israel is. It's down there in 17th. Israel can't fight against a war against Iran by themselves. They need help. It's not. They're not no super superior force like that. Not when it comes to Iran. Yeah, it's gonna get mucky, man. It's gonna get mucky out here. But yeah, like I said, man, warfare changes. So someone can have the extreme advantage, and then things change, and all of a sudden you don't have the advantage you have because of a change in technology. And like I said, them hypersonic missiles have changed the game. Like, you could have had a missile defense system, right, that was extremely effective up until hypersonic missiles, and now that defense system that you spent millions upon millions developing now is ineffective against these weapons. Just like that. So imagine you've spent billions on a missile defense system, and all of a sudden they invent a missile that goes so fast that you might as well not have spent all that money because it's useless. And that's the position that the Israelis are finding themselves in. That these hypersonic missiles are extremely effective against the missile defense system they currently have because it was mainly it wasn't designed to deal with hypersonic missiles. You understand what I'm saying? All right. Things change. Warfare evolves. All right. Let me see if I can get hypersonic missiles. Threat to hypersonic missiles. Right, it says with the development of carrier killer hypersonic missiles, the United States has realized that the ultra large aircraft carriers like the Ford class can be struck down with 2 such missiles. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? That's a huge blow to the American military losing an aircraft carrier. These things cost crazy money. They're like a city on the ocean. They're massive. And they have played a massive role in America's dominance over the earth. But they now have missiles that can bypass the defenses of these aircraft carriers and take them out in one go. Boom. All of a sudden, you no longer have that air force that you once had. So it's gonna get sticky out here, and a lot of people are gonna die in these wars to come. A lot of people are gonna die in these wars to come, man. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. This war that's coming ain't made for men. I'll tell you that for real. It's not made for men. It's gonna swallow men up. It always has. War swallows up men, man. This new modern warfare, people don't realize the old form of warfare was never this bloody, man. The old form of warfare, you get a couple thousand man, they'll meet up in the field. They would almost never kill everyone from the other side. They'll kill enough from the other side that they start running, and then like the other side will just fucking have to give up and man pay tribute. And how many people really died? In fact, hold on. If you look up the top 10 most deadliest battles, not a war, just a battle, they're gonna be all like World War One, World War Two, because the way these battles were done with all these bullets and bombs, you just throw in men to the meat grinder, man. That's why we used to call World War Three the great meat grinder of the Lord, because it's not these type of warfare is not for men. You're just gonna be. They were just throwing waves upon waves of men at machine gun fire, and they were getting chopped down easy. You don't even get tired. If 1,000 people run at me and I've got a big flipping 50 caliber flipping machine gun in a nest somewhere, fully fortified, sniper can't even get me up in there. I could kill 500 man and not even be tired. You know what I'm saying? Just go watch like Saving Private Ryan, man. The scene from seeing the storm of Normandy on the beach, and how many men died just to take the beach. Like ridiculous, man. In the ancient way, it wouldn't have been like that. That was crazy, right? Listen, all these battles are gonna be from modern warfare. These modern wars just drain men from the earth, man. 100%. Because these machines, man, guns and bullets and all that business there. Look at that. The Battle of Berlin. Total of 539,000 deaths. 458,000 of whom were German combatants. Goodness gracious. It wasn't like that in the ancient world. I could tell you that for free. That many men in a battle? It's crazy, man. It's going to give me worse than that. All right. Gets the Book of Sirach. We'll finish up on this. It's about to get serious. And like Maxwell D said, man, don't make me get serious. All right. Second Ezra 16. Straight to the point, man. Verse 21. It says, behold, the victual shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case, and even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them, for the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. Yeah, man, this war is going to be a serious thing. Not going to be no joke thing, trust me. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. The trees shall give fruit. And that's why some of these man, they're trying to manage this thing. They're trying not to bring it to that level. Because they know, listen, if this goes to all-out war between this many nations with this amount of destructive capability, I don't think people realize how the destructive capability that these nations possess. We're not talking about some little war somewhere in the middle of Africa somewhere with some man with some basic weaponry. We're talking about man that's got real weaponries, real armies that can do some serious damage to countries. Big heavyweight contest, man. Big heavyweight contest. It's ain't a little pie thing. When this thing goes real hot, yeah, you see them bunker busters that Israel were using, what they did to the earth? And that was just a measured attack. Imagine these nations are unleashing these things all over the place. London, Paris. Bro, it's going to turn these cities into mince meat, man. I'm telling you. Man, don't understand that these nations have been buying so much weaponry. It's unbelievable. And they're going to use it. It's going to tear the earth to pieces. And that's before you even get to the nuclear side of things. That's just a different level right there. Right? It says the dead shall cast out their dung. That was what was happening in World War One, World War Two, when you had these crazy ass battles happening, and people getting clapped in the middle of the streets. You couldn't go pick up that body, man. You get clapped by a sniper. That body had to stay where it was. People were dying in their homes. Ain't nobody going to collect them. What, you think it was an ambulance service coming to collect dead bodies? So you had dead bodies, dead animals. One guy, I remember I was watching an interview from a World War II veteran, and he said that's what he would never forget, entering into a French village and the smell of death in the air. Why? Because there was bare dead people in the village and ain't nobody weren't burying them. So what inevitably happens is that stench is in the air. Now, most people ain't going to smell I've never smelled the stench of death in the air like that, because most people, when they die, very quickly they're taken to the morgue and put on ice and then they're buried. You rarely find a place, especially in the West, where there's just dead bodies been lying around for a week, 2 weeks. Nah, right? You ain't in the West. You ain't gonna see, it's rare. Like, you're gonna just see dead bodies just lying around like that. Someone's gonna report it and it's gonna get collected. By the time that's coming, that's how you know you're in Jacob's trouble, man. There's dead bodies like dung, like dog poo, man. For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. There shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. The trees shall give fruit, and who shall gather them? The grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men. So one man shall desire to see another, and to hear his voice. For of a city there shall be 10 left, and 2 of the field, which shall hide themselves in the thick groves and in the clefts of the rocks. As in an orchard of olives, upon every tree there are left 3 or 4 olives. Whereas when a vineyard is gathered, there are left some clusters of them that diligently seek through the vineyard. Even so, in those days there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword. And the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her paths and all her paths shall grow full of thorns. That's what happens when you have a depopulation event. People stop maintaining things and they go back to the earth, because no man shall travel therethrough. The virgins shall mourn having no bridegrooms, the women shall mourn having no husbands, their daughters shall mourn having no helpers. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. Yeah. So yeah, man. Definitely coming into that time and things are getting more and more spooky. All right. It's getting more and more spooky. Things are going to start happening faster and faster and faster, man. All right. Things are turning up 100%. Isaiah 13:9. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. Yeah, man, the wicked about the 2/3. For the stars of heaven and the constellations shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. Because these aren't, first of all, the elites. They have the arrogancy and the pride to believe that they are in control of this thing when they're not in control. And 2, you're looking at America. America have the arrogancy to believe that they can't be touched. But they're going to be touched. Jimmy Savile settings, man, they're going to be touched all the way. And will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible, because they've been the terrible. Make no mistake, if America threatens you, you struggling to sleep at night. These men have for the longest while, terrorized the nations of the earth with black ops teams. They had the sophistication to assassinate people, man. Right? They got bunker busters. My man's hiding under the ground, and man sending missiles under the ground for you. All right? They have terrorized these nations with their military might. Imagine you're a normal nation. Imagine, like, beforehand, you were just like any nation, and America's threatening you, and you know that they could pull up to you. Not only have they got nukes, but they could pull up to you with aircraft carrier and do you dirty like how they did Iraq, or do you like Yugoslavia. You can't sleep at night. They be terrifying people because they got that terrifying power. But now that terrifying power they had has gassed them up, and the tables are going to turn on them. All right? And will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. All right? So with that, I'm going to say shalom.